There's currently a lot of propaganda and misinformation being circulated across the internet throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and it's being heavily peddled by the PNM government. It's being shared privately through WhatsApp groups and many social media platforms concerning US versus Venezuela and somewhat by proxy Trinidad and Tobago. And within the last few hours, I would have seen CARICOM come together and do something that was really disgusting. Mottley, who is somebody I actually looked up to, stood on a podium and basically threw the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessar, under the bus, basically saying that based on a meeting that she would have had with former leaders, that the Caribbean is a state of peace. And she praised former Eric Williams and former Keith Rowley for pushing the narrative of peace in the Caribbean. And it's easy for me and Mottley to take that stance and to throw our Prime Minister under the bus because you don't have the problems that Trinidad have. You don't have a migrant problem, which is right at our back door. The wolf is at our door when it comes to Venezuelan nationals. They come over to our country willy-nilly. Not only that, but the former government that was there allowed roughly 11,000 of these people into our country. That further went on to 13,000 plus. And that is just what they let in. We're not dealing with the ones who actually sneaked in the country illegally. But there's something that is really interested about this situation, because those Venezuelan nationals that was let in by the former government, they were only supposed to remain in Trinidad and Tobago for 1 year. For 1 year. They were brought in here in 2019, which roughly states to show they've been here roughly 5 to 6 years. They've been given countless extensions, right, by the former government, to the point where many of them are somewhat citizens now in the country because they would have given birth to children. And that's just the legal number that we are allowed in. We're not even talking about the illegal immigrants that are currently in the country who have now started to take over several areas in Trinidad and Tobago. They're getting into conflicts with Trinidad and Tobago citizens. They're robbing and hurting Trinidad citizens. But Mia Mottley doesn't have that problem at her back door. So it's easy for her to say, let's focus on a nation of peace. Mia Mottley doesn't have to deal with rampant crime. She doesn't have to deal with rampant drug abuse. She doesn't have to deal with her citizens walking around the country looking like zombies because they're high on drugs and narcotics. She doesn't have that. She doesn't get to see little black boys running across Trinidad and Tobago, shooting up guns all over the place because she don't have that problem in Barbados. So it's easy for her to say, I'm not siding with the government and we pushing peace because the wolf isn't at her door. And this is what she had to say about it.
And as a people with a tragic history of being subjected to centuries of big power, orchestrated genocide, terrorism, and warfare, and as a small state, we have invested tremendous time and energy and effort in establishing and maintaining our region as a zone of peace. Peace is critical to all that we do in this region. And now that peace is being threatened, we have to speak up. I want to thank the former prime ministers of the community, the very strong statement issued by them for the fundamental principle that was agreed upon on the formation of the Caribbean community by the Honorable Dr. Eric Williams. I want to thank them because without their statement, we are possibly going to have others think that those who now lead governments are speaking in vain without reflecting on the fact that this has been a core principle of the Caribbean community from its very inception. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Prime Ministers. I believe that the time has come for us, therefore, to be able to ensure that we do not accept that any entity has the right to engage in extrajudicial killings of persons that they suspect of being involved in criminal activities.
Now, as you can clearly see, based on what Mia Mottley is saying here, it is what it is. She's basically praising Keith Rowley for his stance. The same Keith Rowley government that would have allowed Delcy to come in here after she had a sanction on her not to fly. The same former government, right, that would have used the former minister, right, of energy to lie to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and say that Delcy never came into the country. And I want you all to remember that, Captain Forlong Young lied. He lied to the nation and said that these people did not come into the country under the pandemic. We couldn't even bring, they were denying our own citizens the opportunity to come home. And they snuck her in to the airport during the pandemic so that they could have a meeting to try to secure the dragon gas deal, which at the same time we had the former prime minister throwing shots at Donald Trump, who was coming in, right? This same former prime minister, who is no longer prime minister, who just resigned mysteriously because why? Donald Trump won the election, right? Who was pushing the Biden narrative so hard, right? All of a sudden, we lost the dragon gas deal. Everything went out the door. And now Kamala Prasad Bisesa has these things back on the table. But not only that, the narrative, the propaganda that is being posted, it's so stupid. Because imagine we have a situation here where I am seeing people sharing video clips of things that aren't even real. And some of them don't even understand the information they're sharing. There's this one video here, and I want you all.
Hi guys, good day. Emergency. I need to stop by to do this live video right away just to let you all know what is happening. Now, our mainstream media, local Trinidad and Tobago news, has been reporting that the US is coming with a particular warship and they're coming on a friendly note to do some exercises with Trinidad and Tobago police force and army force and whatever, and do some training programs and stuff on the weekend, Sunday or something like that, right? This US warships supposed to be docking. Now, so that is what Trinidad and Tobago government and Prime Minister is told. We are told here in Trinidad and Tobago that the US warship is just coming to do a nice little bring some flowers and do some training and do some exercises with us. But guess what? Mainstream media, Fox News, look what they just reported. Nothing like what they told us. Nothing like what they told us. Look at what they reported. Breaking. The U.S. deploys the Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group to combat narco-terrorism in the Western Hemisphere as the Trump administration. Now, this same boat is coming to dock by Trinidad and Tobago. Notice Fox News did not mention they're talking about the same warship that coming to dock in Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday. But here's what they put. They put the truth as what they're coming for. The U.S. deploys the Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group to combat narco-terrorism in the Western Hemisphere as the Trump administration countries targeting suspected drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean. Same warship, everybody posting, same well, this is a runway or a flight way or something, so right?
Now, as you all could see, this lady doesn't have a clue what she's talking about here. She's saying that the government of Trinidad and Tobago lied and that they were bringing a warship to Trinidad and Tobago. They were bringing the aircraft carrier to Trinidad and Tobago. But people, I could clearly show you all the USS, right? The USS Ford and the USS Gravely is two totally different ships. One is an aircraft carrier and one is a smaller boat. One boat was coming for training and the other boat is coming to back up the US in the waters. We have no space in Trinidad and Tobago to park an aircraft carrier. None. It doesn't matter which part we bring it in. And imagine I am seeing in WhatsApp groups, people are saying that Kamala Prasad Bisesa closed down breakfast shed so that she would get space to park the ship. And I'm thinking in my head, like, how stupid you have to be to think that closing down breakfast shed makes no sense, because they would benefit from US currency and US tourism. Why would she close down that to park a ship there? And this is the level of stupidity that the PNM is peddling, right? Not only that, I am seeing them showing footage, fighter jet footage, and I'm sitting down and I'm looking at the footage, and I was like, but wait, this is Battlefield 6. Battlefield 6, people, is a war fighting video game. And somebody is sharing video footage of two fighter jets dog fighting, and is saying that this is Venezuelan training and practicing to fight the US in the air. And people are sharing this, and I'm saying in my head, but where in Venezuela has snow? Where in Trinidad has snow? You've seen snow on the mountains. People, it's a lot of craziness going on in the public space right now. A lot of false narratives out there, and it's being peddled heavily by the PNM. And you have a choice. You could choose to live in ignorance. You could choose to ignore what you're seeing, or you all could do the responsible thing. Stop sharing every single thing you see on the internet. You have credible sources. You have Synergy breaking down for a credible source. You have myself as a credible source. You could check me out on all my socials, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. You could check me out there and get credible information. You all have to understand this. They know that the whole function of the PNM right now is that they have no function. So the whole objective is to make it look like the government, the current government, does not have a handle on anything. And the best way they are doing that, because they can't beat the UNC on facts right now. They have no facts. So the best thing to do is peddle propaganda to try to cause a destabilization function in the government. They want to make it look like the government does not know what they're doing. They don't have a handle on the situation, that the prime minister is a mad woman for siding with the US, right? But let me be honest, people. Ask anybody on your street right now, weed price going up. Weed price going up. The mere fact that it's going up means that there's a shortage, which means you have less young people walking around like zombies throughout the country. You have less people high and doped up on stuff. And you all have to understand that the PNM mindset has always been to keep people in ignorance and keep black people in mental slavery. The passing of the bill to legalize marijuana wasn't a good. It wasn't a good. They could have decriminalized it and say we're not going to jail people for it. But giving people that access to plant trees and do this, all that did was open up a younger generation to smokers. We have more smokers come out of that bill being allowed to pass than when we had it before. And the PNM is comfortable with that, because at the end of the day, they are not interested in progressing the mind of Afro-based community in Trinidad and Tobago. They're not. And trust me, when you're always high on weed, you can't progress with anything you're doing. So with that being said, I want you all to understand this. When you all see these propaganda posts come up, you see anything related to war and stuff like that, take your time. Look at the videos before you share them. Don't share them. Look at them carefully. Sora AI is amazing, and they have a lot of people putting out AI videos. Please, I am begging you all, take time to get the credible information before you go sharing it, because the objective is to make the government look bad. It's also to encourage fear mongering amongst yourself. And imagine, I'm seeing people showing it had a issue in the airport 2 days ago, and they had a backlog with flights, and somebody took a picture of the immigration line, and literally put it up and said people are fleeing Trinidad and Tobago because they're worried about the war. And that was not the case. So people, I'm begging you all, let us try to get the correct information into the hands of the public, right? Do due diligence, look at the videos carefully, and before you decide to share it, because PNM is hoping for you all to share it, because they want that fear mongering. Don't give these platforms traction. For a matter of fact, don't even look at them. Don't even go to their platforms or their spaces, because that's what they want. They want you all there to share whatever misinformation they are putting out into the public space. Please don't do that. So if you've been here long enough, I know all you're glad to see me back. I am glad to be back also. Right? And remember the motto, make a better version of yourself every day. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And like I say, everything is back on track. You all are working on with emotes right now, so they're gonna have some cool custom emotes and stuff like that that all they could use in the chat for when we go in live. And looking forward to seeing you all on the platform. And again, thanks for everybody who waited. I'm out.